surely he will fight back. But you deliver a series of strikes, he will be on the run. He will be always on the defensive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
The function of the stick in Eskrima is obvious, but the left hand is just as important. Kakoy's left hand moves independently of his right. All the time it controls his opponent's stick, never allowing it to strike him. Kakoy's opponent is one of his sons, Edgar. Though he was trained by his father, he is not yet in the same class. He just cannot penetrate his father's defenses. Kakoy's strikes curl around Edgar's body. He can achieve 6 strikes a second. Apart from the pain, the speed of such an attack is absolutely demoralizing. Dossier Paris shows its techniques to the public in January. Each year there is a procession through Cebu City, and the club prepares a special demonstration to perform as they march along. The procession celebrates the arrival of the Spanish explorer Magellan in Cebu, and his death at the hands of a local chieftain. The chieftain, called Lapu Lapu, is now a national hero for his resistance to the Spanish colonizers. When Magellan arrived in the Philippines, he landed where Cebu City is now. He made friends with the local tribes, and their chiefs were baptized into the Christian faith. After Magellan's death, his ship sailed away to circumnavigate the globe. 44 years later, the Spanish returned, and this time stayed to govern the Philippines for 350 years. They set their mark upon the people and customs of the country, including Eskrima. Certainly, European sword fighting techniques have been added to the fighting system that existed when the Spanish arrived. Before they arrived, the techniques were probably influenced by Chinese and Indian fighting arts. Modern Eskrima developed out of this mixture. The same system is called arnis in other parts of the Philippines. When Magellan baptized the chieftains, they told him about another chief called Lapu Lapu, who lived on an island nearby. Unfortunately for Magellan, he was a tough fighter. The Spanish set up this monument to Magellan near to where he died. Surprisingly, Magellan made the mistake of sailing around to attack Lapu Lapu without thinking about the state of the tide. The water around Lapu Lapu's village was shallow, and the battle between the Spaniards and the Filipinos took place in that. The Spaniards wore heavy clothing and armor. Their opponents wore very little. Lapu Lapu, of course, has a monument put up by the Filipinos. Here, on the 27th of April, 1521, Lapu Lapu and his men repulsed the Spanish invaders, killing their leader, Ferdinand Magellan. Thus, Lapu Lapu became the first Filipino to have repelled European aggression. The Spanish stories of the battle say that Lapu Lapu and his men fought with wooden sticks, the first reference to Eskrima. However, patriotic artists always give Lapu Lapu a sword. Before his death, Magellan gave the friendly chieftains a carved image of the baby Jesus. When the Spaniards returned 44 years later, they found that miraculously it had been kept. And so Santo Niño, the sacred child, became the patron saint of the Philippines. Today's procession is in his honor. People travel great distances to be at his church on his day. Outside it are ladies selling candles and dancing the special steps that are also a prayer to the saint. Nearly everyone buys candles and sets them to burn in special trays. The melted wax is collected and recycled. Inside the church, the people queue to worship the original statue left by Magellan. They believe his virtue is transmitted through his protective glass. As they kiss the glass, the people pray to the sacred child for special favors. Many of the worshippers who traveled to be here slept in the streets around the church. After the procession in January, 12 Pares started to practice for their anniversary celebration. Every night there were training sessions. Special tracksuits and T-shirts were designed, and invitations sent to Filipino communities throughout the world. Eskrima is not exclusively a male activity, though not many women practice it. Kakoy's daughter, Kathy, has studied other martial arts and has a black belt in karate.
Okay. It's fine. Okay. Very nice.
It is not easy for a woman to be a student of fighting in the Philippines, since masculine pride is so easily offended. Kathy stopped practicing karate when she discovered that it frightened away boyfriends. Doce Paris also sent invitations to senior members of government and expected at least one general to attend their celebrations. The club planned to display as wide a range of techniques as possible. They particularly wanted to make clear the difference between the classical style and the modern style developed by Kakoy. His main teacher had been his brother, Mumoy Kenyeti, a very hard master to learn under. Mumoy is a traditionalist. He still uses the long-range style that was the most common fighting style. There has been family tension between him and Kakoy because of the way that Kakoy has changed Eskrima, especially the added techniques from judo and other Japanese fighting arts.
It's locked now. It's turned very far.
Mumoy is practicing his demonstration of an advanced technique. This combination of stick and dagger is formidable. The grips and locks can be used to hold an opponent, or the dagger can be used to kill him.
It's locked there. Now it's locked. Now, the... That's locked. Oh, that's...
The traditional style of Eskrima has been exported to any country that accepted Filipino immigrants, especially the United States. Many people practice it there, usually under its other names, Arnis or Kali. The Kenyeti family have been to the USA demonstrating their skills, and they always call on Dan Inosanto in Los Angeles.
Turn around there. And then
You strike this way?
again.
Dan Inosanto is an American-born Filipino. He is very well known in the martial arts world because of the time that he spent working with Bruce Lee.
This way?
I go like this.
That's something else. I like to learn
That's
it.
the spell.
Hope I can learn it in the Philippines.
What's your ring yours? What's your...
Well, I never really got in deep into the Sparadaga. I really would
just
like
like my
to.
father. Actually, one of this, you know, this style, but...
This is the one, though, the
this
classical
is-
form.
Yeah, the classical form. This is what my uncle Mumoy teaches.
When was this form developed? Somebody said it as far back as 1930. Was it 1930 when they developed this form?
Before 1930s, yeah.
Dan teaches Chinese boxing